everybody. I'm so glad that you all are here tonight. I think most everyone here is from some professional background, so either law or accounting, IT, various other backgrounds as well. And I want you, for just the time that we're together, put some of that aside a little bit. You know, we're highly trained people. We spend years and years and years studying to be really good at what we're at. So we spend years getting degrees, getting qualifications, practicing. And that's a good thing. What I'm going to ask you to do tonight is have a look at something outside of the scope of what you've been looking at and what you've spent so much time and energy and effort engaging in. And that is looking a little bit more inward and a little bit more time with yourself and who you are and how you are in the world, how you move through the world. I'm going to, my background, thank Louise, I call on a lot of my own study that I've done in psychology, in neuroscience, in business, management. I do practice mindfulness. I practice a lot of meditation, which is essential to helping me be able to do what I do. And I want to be able to bring a different perspective for you, something you can try and emphasize. It's not anything that you have to believe, but it is worthwhile spending a little bit of time, if you spend all those years and everything getting to where you are, spending some time investing in yourself, because you are the most important thing. You are the most important thing, and that's what we want to be able to do. So tonight's topic, or what we're going to focus on, is influence and rapport. And I really hope to give you a different perspective on that. I think, hands up everybody who's been to some sort of communication training, listening, that sort of stuff. Yeah? Yeah. So a lot of people have actually done something in that area, but I really want to give you something different, a little bit of something, and my hope is that you take away maybe 1, 2, or even 3 things that you might look at applying in your life and applying in a different way. Can you hear me? No, not a little bit? Speak up? Okay, I'll do, okay. Please let me know if there's anything I can do to make you more comfortable there. Lovely smile. If there's anything I can do to make you more comfortable, please let me know. So tonight's session, I'm going to use some PowerPoint, but mostly for visuals and just to hopefully emphasize some points. Some practice, some experience, some experiential reflective things. If you have questions as we go, I'm happy to take questions. If we can, leave them towards the end. There's also going to be a question time at the end as well. Now, you guys who can't hear down the back, there's actually 5 seats down the front. Small change. So if you're willing to come up the front, you're more than welcome to do that as well. And I promise I don't pick on people who sit at the front. Thank you. Welcome. Okay. So rapport is such a really large area. Communication is a huge area. And so within that, I'm going to try and condense and pull out some essential things which I think might add value for you. And give you some things that you can take away. It's a little bit like a vitamin pill, you know. It's a condensed form of nutrients and minerals that your body needs, and I'm going to try and package it into a little vitamin pill for you guys to have. And I probably think pharmaceutical companies would really love to get their hands on that sort of thing if they can. So what we're covering today is we're going to dive into rapport. Why is it important? What do you need to know? What's the purpose and value of it? What is it about? What does rapport really mean? How does it work? How can we learn to develop, skills which we call rapport? You read a lot of books and they'll say you need to have rapport, develop listening skills, but not very many actually delve into the how, the specific way of actually what do you need to do differently. So we're going to look at that. And then also, what does it mean for you in terms of applying that in your life and in all areas of your life, professionally as well as personally? Now, guys, this is like really on top of my... should I need to... is that okay?
Yeah,
yep, we're good. Let me know if I need to do anything different. Don't touch?
Yeah, don't hit my chest.
I'm so passionate. All right. Okay, no worries. So, to start off with, I thought it would be really valuable and important to get us all on the same page. So, rapport in context of what, and mostly in context, I guess, of communication and how we communicate. So, on this slide, there's sort of just some pointers about what is communication, and there's various things. And with the slides, by the way, Louise was kind enough to print them all off, so at the end, if people want a copy of those, you can grab them on the way out. There's some things happening in your folder, but we'll talk about that when we get there as well. So communication, we know it's a noun, it's a static word, meaning it's something that, like all nouns, it's a thing, we call it a thing. It involves two or more people, so there's a loop, there's me and there's you. I say something, you perceive it, and I react, right? Are we all good with that? Okay. Don't be afraid to say. Okay, so it involves verbal and non-verbal communication. So verbal, obviously, are the words that we use and how we use it. Non-verbal is the language, or everything else, the body, how we use our body, our gestures, our expressions, and so on. Yep. Cool. So one of the first things I'd like you to sort of, think about for a little bit is we cannot not communicate. Does that make sense to everyone? Even if you don't say anything, somebody is going to perceive that in a particular way. Yep. So we can't not. And because we're involved in a loop, we're always influencing someone. Now, I mean, the topic tonight was about influence, right? So it's about how do we influence. The thing is, you're always influencing. You're never not influencing. And sometimes, I know when I first learnt this, I thought about, I really want to develop influential skills. I really want to be able to influence people. I thought, but I never really thought about, hey, I'm already doing it. So what am I doing that is working, and what am I doing that's not working? And what does that mean for the quality of influence that is going on in the interaction? So one of the things about communication that's very interesting is messages are not always received as you intend them. Have you ever had the experience of saying something quite neutral to someone, and then all of a sudden they go, that's not, they really take it out of context, or they really overreact, and you think, oh my God, like all I said was good morning. It's like, has anybody had that? Yeah. So what's going on there? Where's the mismatch? What is going on? And so I want you to, as we go through, I'm going to layer some information in so that you start thinking about things. One of my main objectives really for you tonight is, other than having an amazing experience, is that you have some things which trigger your thinking and make you think of things maybe in a different way. Okay. So here's an example. The words are exactly the same in each of those three sentences. They're exactly the same. So for the first one, I didn't say you were stupid. I didn't say you were stupid. And I didn't say you were stupid. Can you see how, did any of those three sound or communicate a different message to you? Yeah? Each one of them did. Yeah. Now that's really curious, isn't it? Because the words are exactly the same. So there's a research done by Mirabian and Ferris, and it's actually an old piece of information from 1967, and it's still used in most communication programs today, and you probably would have heard it, that in terms of the communication, 7% of it it relates to the words you use. We've got 38% relates to your voice, the tone, the volume, and so on. And a whopping 55% of the communication comes from how you use your body. Your gestures, your expressions, your blinking, everything to do with your body. How you stand, all of that comes from. Now, when we communicate, when we learn, and when you know, and certainly in some of the communication programs I was involved in when I first started learning this, nobody told me about that. You know, it's like, say this, don't say that. But the emphasis wasn't on my voice and how I used it, or my body language, and so on. So having that awareness and understanding that 93% of how you communicate relates to non-verbal aspects of how you operate is really important. So if I were to set you a challenge, go into a bar and meet somebody. Hands up who have no problem with that. No problem with that? Yeah? So great. So you go into a bar, you meet someone, and you generally, who are you attracted to? Okay, not a lot of information, just a little. just don't want too much.
The right answer's my wife.
Is she here too?
No.
We won't tell. No. So generally we would go for people who look like us, who have some sort of similarity. You know, we may not consciously be aware of that, but generally it's somebody who we think, oh, okay, that guy, okay, I might approach him because they might look like us, or there might be something familiar about them. And then you start up a conversation and you're talking, and then sometimes it just fizzles, right? Has anybody had that experience when it just goes nowhere and I think, oh, yeah? No? Yeah. Yes. So you still can't, guys can, you good? Yeah?
There's all these seats up the front.
Yeah, there's all these seats up the front. Maybe if we pay them. Will they move? No. Okay, so it fizzles and you think, okay, all right, where did it go? Why the fizzle? You know, what was that about? Mostly it's because we're focusing and relating and depending on the words that we use to build a bridge to connect to other people. We don't go beneath that generally. We're not taught to, we're not shown how to go underneath that to another level to be able to build relationship and to, you know, to build something further. And what we're going to look at is how do we do that? You know, what are the steps that we can take? So, you know, some key messages here. We're always influencing. You can't not influence. So you're already very influential people. Yay! So we're already a step in the right direction. The question is not whether we influence, it's how, what your outcome is, what your purpose is for influencing other people. That is really the key question to focus on is for what purpose? Influence for what purpose? Because you're already doing it. And then your choice is whether to be conscious or unconscious of the effects you create when you are communicating. To do it in awareness or not. Okay. Fundamental assumption in NLP is that the meaning of the communication is the response you get. So I refer a lot to some of the models and my experience of using them, mostly because I've found, and the people I've worked with have found, that they really work and that they're tried and tested. So one of the assumptions here is the meaning of the communication is the response you get, and a lot of people don't like that because fundamentally what it means is you need to take responsibility for the fact that your message may not be getting across. So how to get into a successful communication loop? You know, we talked about the loop between me and you. How do you get into a successful one? How do you influence in a way where you do achieve your outcome or your objectives, whatever they are? So there's three, I guess, key areas from an NLP point of view. And by the way, does anybody know much about NLP? A little bit?
Don't ask me to explain it though.
Okay, well, I will touch on it at various points, but the whole discipline and field of NLP was developed from modelling people who were really, really good at excellence, modelling excellence really. So it was developed by two main people, Richard Bandler and John Grinder. I've had the pleasure and to work with John myself, and he's a brilliant man. So, but it was developed by both of these guys. One was a linguistics professor and the other a mathematician. And what they did is they, through various, it's a bit of a story, but they actually learned to develop a process where they modelled people who were really brilliant at what they did. So the first people they modelled were Gregory Bateson, who's a very famous anthropologist, Milton Erickson, a doctor and hypnotherapist, Virginia Satir, who was a family systems. We have a psychology person who's learning. Where's Georgia? We were talking a little bit about psychology. So Virginia Satir was a family therapist, and Fritz Perls. And these people were able to achieve amazing results with the people they worked with. And they were just very curious. How in heaven's name can Milton Erickson say hello to a lady and all of a sudden she's healed? How can it be that he would tell a simple story and it would change that person's life? And so Richard and John modelled them, and from the modelling process they distilled models about how it is excellent people who are excellent in their results, how they achieve their results. And so a lot of the theories and some of the models that I use here are taken from that, just that so you know. So excellent communicators, what they do is they know their outcome, they know what they're going for, they know what they want, not what they don't want. So it's what they want, slight difference. They know, they have great observational sensory acuity, so they're very there with the other person. Have you been in a meeting and some people just go, and then the meeting just goes on, you know, and then the presenter or maybe a lecture, that people might be able to relate to that, where you're attending a lecture and you think, oh my God, what's going on? And then, so the lecturer might just keep going, you know, and not really paying attention to what's going on with the people. So you need great skills where your attention is outward focused, and you need a lot of flexibility in terms of what you're doing is not working, you need to change it. You can do the same thing again and again, but if you do the same thing you've always done, you're going to get the same results you've always got. So the whole idea is learning about flexibility, learning to do things in a different way so you have more choice. And the more choice you have, the greater the likelihood of actually achieving your outcome. What holds it all together? What makes it all work are rapport skills, developing really strong rapport skills. We're going to delve a little bit further into that. So, if you met yourself at a party, would you want to strike up a conversation with you? Oh my God, I thought this was going to be an easy, you know. So would you? You know, so we're going to look at that. We're going to look at that. This is just a summary slide of what it is about communication mastery, those 4 areas: knowing your outcome, having sensory acuity, having flexibility, and taking action. So meeting yourself at a party and engaging in a really nice conversation, yes, absolutely. Why not? Why not? You know, influence is a real critical part of this, being able to influence others, and the extent to which you can influence others is almost a reflection of how well you know yourself. How well you know yourself. And one of the key premises I do a lot of my work on is this whole idea of being who you are and knowing who you are as a person and as an individual. And that's a journey. It's a journey, and it's also the destination. So how much do you know about yourself in a real deep way? So what we're going to do is in the folders that you have, quick exercise. You see, it's a rapport questionnaire self-assessment. Now, just before you start that, what I'd like to do is just explain a couple of things about this. For all the lawyers who love to analyse things ad infinitum, you've only got 7 minutes to complete it. You've only got 7 minutes to complete it. And this is actually deliberate. There's 20 questions there, and I'll be asking you to rate yourself on each of those questions from 1 to 10. 10 being always applies and 1 being doesn't apply. You've got a 6 there. There's no 5, so you've got to jump the fence one way or the other. And this is just a tool to help you identify and assess some of the skills that are really critical in rapport. We're going to do a snapshot now, and then at the end of our time together, I'm going to get you to have a look at it again and to see if anything's changed and whether you want to put any notes or anything down. Does everybody get what we need to do? We're good with that? Okay. All right. So we'll just go 7 minutes and have fun.